Hi, my name is Sam Rauschenfels, and today I'll be talking about the field of emotional design. First, let's define the word design. According to a trusty Google search, design means to create, fashion, execute, or construct according to plan. When we design an object, we make intentional decisions that affect how people use the object and why. I'd like to focus on a particular area where ideas about designing objects and human emotions intertwine tightly. This field is emotional design. According to Donald Norman, a cognitive science usability engineer and best-selling author, considering emotions within the realm of product design is a new idea, something even Norman, as a leader in the field, did not consider until recently. Writing about this change of view in his 2004 book, Emotional Design: Why We Love or Hate Everyday Things, Norman attributes his change of thought to advances in science, specifically in our understanding of the brain and of how emotion and cognition are thoroughly intertwined. According to Norman, scientists now understand how important emotion is to everyday life. Emotional design, as Norman describes, acknowledges that emotions weigh heavily on the human decision-making process and that emotions affect both how we perceive and how we react to objects in the world around us. Emotional design is the practice of considering the emotional responses users have to products and leveraging those responses as part of the design process to produce a particular experience for users of the product being designed. The idea that good design even matters, that things we use every day can and should be well designed, goes almost without saying. As Norman lays out in his older 1988 book, The Design of Everyday Things, well-designed objects are easy to interpret and understand, while poorly designed objects can be difficult and frustrating to use. So what do emotions have to do with design? Emotions matter in design because humans are emotional creatures, and whether we try to or not, we respond on an emotional level to nearly everything we encounter on a daily basis. Using Norman's insight as a cognitive scientist, we can begin to understand just how tightly emotions are tied to our decision-making processes and how design factors in here. First, some background. The human body perceives the world both consciously and unconsciously, and our judgments and decisions are processed unconsciously by our nervous system before we become conscious of them. According to Norman, our brains often make decisions for us unconsciously, and emotions are our conscious processing and responding to these situations that we face. Consider a simple example from Norman. Most people wouldn't think twice about walking across a sturdy wooden plank at ground level, but almost everyone would immediately pause in fear if asked to walk across that same plank suspended 100 feet above the ground. Why? Because our brains unconsciously process the board suspended in the air as a potential danger, and we consciously experience this as the emotion of fear. Now think about how many decisions, both big and small, we are faced with every day. Can you see how emotions might play a bigger role in our lives than we might think? To better understand this with relevance to design, consider Norman's ideas together with the research of psychologist Alice Eisen. In a 2001 paper, Eisen identified multiple studies demonstrating that making people feel good actually enhances decision-making skills and creative thought processes. As Norman describes, daily actions like opening a door using a computer require people to make many decisions both consciously and unconsciously, such as where to push or pull a door or how to navigate a computer program. According to Eisen's research, if we feel good in these situations, we can actually make these decisions both better and more creatively. I'll let Norman sum it up for us. Attractive things make people feel good, which in turn makes them think more creatively. This makes it easier for people to find solutions to the problems they encounter. Problems like where to push a puller door or how to use a computer. Good design is emotional design. Well-designed products make us feel good, and when we feel good, we are better able to figure out the necessary steps to use these products as their designers intended. Two things stand out to me in particular when I think about the idea of emotional design. Emotional design as an explanation, and emotional design as an end goal. Let me tackle emotional design as an explanation first. With this, I mean simply that understanding emotional design helps us explain our reactions to and experiences with everyday objects. As an example, consider the Apple iPhone. Introduced in 2007, the iPhone completely changed phone design and set a new standard for modern smartphones. I would argue that the iPhone's attractive design gives users positive feelings about the device, and as Norman and Eisen demonstrate, positive feelings surrounding its design are part of the reason that the iPhone is easy and enjoyable for so many people to use. The iPhone's design is no accident, which leads to my second idea, emotional design as an end goal. This takes things one step further with the realization that designers also understand that good design is emotional design and that they can leverage the research of Norman, Eisen, and others to elicit a desired emotional response from users of their products. Designers not only realize this, they are actively promoting the idea of emotional design. This is made evident by scouring relevant internet publications, which turned up, among other things, a lengthy article on the Next Web written by web designer and author Paul Jarvis. One reason Jarvis discusses for the importance of emotional design is that good designs create an emotional connection between companies and consumers, and well-designed products like websites turn visitors into brand evangelists. Think about Apple fanboys, die-hard BuzzFeed readers, or players of games like 2048 and Angry Birds. Each situation here, well-designed products help to provoke emotional responses and create dedicated users. The effects of the emotional design may not end here, though. Consider Friedman and Nissenbaum's original research on bias in computer systems. I find their idea of emergent bias, that computer systems create new biases just as reinforce old ones, applicable here. Might products that are explicitly designed with emotional responses in mind create new biases? If a designer targets a particular audience to gain an emotional response, is that product bias against people outside of that audience? Is assuming emotional responses of an audience bias in and of itself? To take this notion one step further, consider James Tiptree's dystopian short story, The Girl Who Was Plugged In. In the story, the design of P. Burke's human avatar Delphi is in every way playing on emotions, drawing in viewers across the world with exaggerated features and mannerisms, while subtly advertising each and every product Delphi is using. People become very attached to Delphi, and the reaction to her has catastrophic consequences at the story's conclusion. Is this extreme? Certainly, but it raises questions about emotional design's impact on society. Consider the fanaticism around some product launches today and the amount of design work that goes into those products. We might want to look at emotional design a little more closely. To conclude, good design is emotional design. Humans respond emotionally to a variety of situations, and these responses shape how we utilize the objects, devices, and platforms that we make part of our daily routines. Users may or may not be aware of these responses, but designers certainly are. And emotional design is used now and will continue to be used in the future to connect with consumers of various products and services. Good design is emotional design, and both producers and consumers should be aware of the possibilities and implications of leveraging emotions in the design process. Thank you.